Paris, we got to talk about it.
Yep.
ES Ford writes in saying $40 gets you all the heroes, maps, and modes forever. This is a $40 game. It is not free to play. Where do you stand on that, having played as much as you have so far?
Let's be crystal clear here. I really enjoy this game. I really do. I am having a lot of fun with it. That is going to be its biggest entry or barrier to entry, I should say, is that $40 price point. I don't think people are going to see that and it's going to get them excited to let me spend $40 and go play Concord. I think they're going to say there's Fragpunk, there's Overwatch, there's X Defiant, obviously Fortnite. There's all these other options, Valorant, that you could go play right now that I don't have to spend that money up front. Call of Duty Warzone obviously is another one. That's going to be its biggest issue, is that $40. And Mike, maybe you know better than I do. I'm still not understanding the reasoning on that. I don't know if they talked about that during their preview period when you got to play it, because I understand the story, the weekly story progression, or have the cutscenes and all that, but you're going to still have a battle pass as well. So I'm trying to wrap my head why they're doing the $40 instead of just making it free to play.
Yeah, I took it like this, Paris, of like, this is a content-rich launch, right? I think we live in this world now of free-to-play early access. Hey, we're going to give you X amount, and we're going to add more over time. When I was sitting in the room, it felt like, hey, we are giving you the most possible thing right here, like the old school days of, here's the full product, you will buy this, and then you will have a good time with a lot of it, instead of, hey, here, we're early access, we have 3 maps, 3 game modes, we'll figure it out in a month's time, 3 months' time, right? So to me, it was like, hey, you get a high-quality title that is content-rich and content-full for this price tag. And I think we're going to have a really good discussion here, boys, because I'm excited for this, of like, we live in this world right now where people are going, I don't want to play free-to-play games. I get nickeled and dimed after all these microtransactions. There's not enough maps. It's early access. I want a content-rich game. We saw a great one with Baldur's Gate 3, right? Elden Ring. Hey, here's the game for $70. Nothing else. Enjoy it, right? And people celebrate that. Now we get to this $40 shooter, and I just think the market in the world is, no, we're on free-to-play. This is how you win, right? But we want a $40 content-rich title. But now here it is, and I think people are antsy and worried about this.
I think that they've shown kind of enough maneuverability with this beta weekend, because this beta weekend was only supposed to be available to people who pre-ordered the game. And then, leading up to it, said, hey, what if we give it to PS Plus members as well? Just if you have PS Plus, even if you haven't pre-ordered the game, you can hop in or whatever. And I think because of what we've seen there, I would not be surprised to see them make a move leading up to the game where, hey, it's $40, it gets you everything you want. Or it's free to play if you have PS Plus, or whatever sort of variation we're looking for. It's free to play if you just like download the game or whatever, but you only have access to the 4 free gunners or to the 6 free gunners. $40 though gets you everything, as opposed to doing what we've seen Overwatch have issues with, which Overwatch just changed recently, where a new hero comes out, you got to pay $10. New hero comes out, you got to pay $10. Overwatch recently did the thing where they're like, all heroes are going to be free now. Similar to Valorant. You want the new hero, you got to either pay or spend an eternity trying to unlock them. Or if you have Xbox Game Pass, you get all of that stuff included. I could see them pivoting and making a move that would get free-to-play players in and say, hey, if you're enjoying this playing with your friends, you want the rest of this roster, $40 to get everything. I can see them pivoting. I think that, again, with what we saw this weekend, that was already a pivot that I didn't expect. And I think that this team isn't married to any idea now. I think that's like, whatever's the best for the player base, whatever gets the most people in, is going to be something that they could switch to.
So yeah, I mean, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
No, go Paris.
No, I was just going to say, just give you my own personal perspective on all of this. When I saw the showcase and they finally premiered the game, I saw that and I was like, I don't know about this. Like it left a sour taste in my mouth as to what this really could be. And ironically enough, when the previews came out, I didn't get to watch the entire episode, but I saw some of what Mike was saying that intrigued me. I was like, okay, let's give this a fair shot when it comes out. So Obviously, we got in this beta. I gave it a fair shot. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it enough that me personally, if I have to spend $40 to jump in and play it, okay, I'll do it. No problem. But I think how many people after that showcase have the same feeling that I do of, I don't know about this. Ooh, that I'm not sure about this. Look, right, wrong, and different. A lot of the chatter this weekend were about how many people were playing it on Steam, even though you had to pre-order it, obviously, to play it on Steam. I think they definitely made a smart move to open it up to PlayStation Plus users. I'm going to be very curious to see what it looks like next week, I believe, right, is the open beta, so everybody can play. Let's see how many people are actually giving it a shot on Steam and on PlayStation 5. And if the numbers are similar, I'm with Andy. I think they got to pivot personally. I don't think you should stand on that $40 price point. Open it up to PlayStation Plus premium users or something like that, right? I do think you're going to need to give an extra nudge to get people in the door to at least get their hands on it and start playing it so they can understand what Concord is, because I think that was my biggest thing. On the surface, I'm like, this looks like just typical generic hero shooter. But once I started playing it and understanding the different layers that this game could provide, now I get it. But I think they have to, PlayStation and Firewalk have to do a better job of selling people up front on trying this game. I don't think just saying, hey, here's the beta is enough, honestly. I think you really need to push people to want to go jump in and try this.
I think if they don't make a pivot, I see this game being like a lot of other multiplayer games where free weekend, get in right now, play for free this whole weekend. And whenever I see that, I'm always worried by how the game state, right?
Yeah.
How is that game working right now if you're willing to do this so many times? It's clear that you're trying to get more people in. But yeah, I think that I would not be surprised whatsoever if some sort of pivot was made.
Closing out the price. Go for it, Paris.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, because when does this officially come out? Is it September? I forget.
October
or
or August 23rd, I think.
Yeah, next month.
Right, the end of August.
Yeah.
So you essentially got about 2 months until Call of Duty comes out. If you've not convinced people to want to jump in and really commit to this multiplayer by then, people are just going to go to Black Ops 6.
Or if you're someone like me, is like, I don't want to deal with that player base. I want to deal. I do think that that's a legitimate angle of I could find the fun and not have the frustrations in another ecosystem that I'm used to every year. A player like me hopping into Call of Duty multiplayer and going, all right, enough of that. I'll play with Mike and Nick for a while. I'll level up those couple of guns. I think one thing that I really enjoy about Concord, and I mentioned this, is that one thing that I really love about it is something that may be a reason why people aren't into it, is that like I can play Concord without having to worry about what is it feeding into. And I compared it to like the standalone MCU movies. Like, yeah, but what does this do for the overall MCU saga? It's like, it doesn't have to. This is just its own standard thing. I like that I am playing this game without the larger goal of leveling these heroes to get them into the war zone or whatever. Playing Call of Duty multiplayer only to level up guns so that they could be good in war zone. I like that this is its own insular, standalone thing that it doesn't have a larger goal of putting me somewhere else. I can just hop in for a couple of rounds, play a bunch of different free gunners, have fun with it like I have. And I've played a lot of these multiplayer games that just didn't work for me. For whatever reason, this game really, really worked for me this weekend.
This episode is brought to you by Harry's. I always hate it when I buy something and then talk to someone else and realize I way overspent and they got it for cheaper. It's happened to all of us, but getting ripped off is no joke, especially when there's razors involved. The people at Harry's were tired of seeing everyday people paying way too much for low-quality shaving products. So they found a way to make beautifully designed razors without laughably high prices. You can get better designed and better value grooming products made by a company that forged their own path in the grooming industry. Harry's has been keeping me looking right for years, and you already know I looked so good at my wedding thanks to that very close shave from Harry's. Highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. No risk trial. If you don't like your shave, no worries. It's on them. Convenient subscription options that you can cancel at any time, so you can stop getting ripped off With Harry's, you can get a shave that's a cut above the rest. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/kindafunny. That's harrys.com/kindafunny for a $3 trial set.
Major announcement. I wrote a children's book and you can buy it right now. My first ever children's book, Portillo the Wiener Dog Thinks He's a Manatee, is available as a limited run at kindafunny.com/store. I'm forever grateful to Kinda Funny best friend Josh Strickland for stepping in to help turn my dream into a reality with his amazing original illustrations. To celebrate the book launch, we're also bringing back the Portillo hat and t-shirt along with a fun new crew neck that you can wear while you're reading the book to your kids or pets. Head over to kindafunny.com/store right now and check it out before it disappears.
I want to close out the price conversation with the super chat from Street Shadow here saying, I'm confused. We say we want content-rich games up front, but then ask for more titles to take free-to-play route. I bet I spend less on this than I would with free-to-play. Do you have any thoughts on that, Paris?
Here's my thought on that, because I was talking to a buddy about this yesterday because we were going back and forth on it. This isn't like, hey, I'm giving you this fleshed out campaign that you can jump in and play as a single player experience, right? It reminds me a lot, and I know this is not the same, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. It reminds me of the first Titanfall, whereas it was sold to you as this whole multiplayer that has some quote unquote story elements in it. But is that really enough for the price of entry that you want to go? You want that? How many people want the story of Concord versus I just want a fun multiplayer game to play? You know what I mean? That's kind of where I am on it, that they got a lot to do to sell this game to the public, because you are entering a very crowded PvP market right now. So are you doing enough to stand out from the crowd to justify the $40 price point? And again, I like the game. So it's like, I'm just saying this being realistic about it, because I think one of my biggest worries is I hope that PlayStation is patient with this game. If it does not have the huge population that they expect it to have in like the first 90 days, stick with it. Allow Firewalk to balance it out, squash bugs, listen to community feedback on what they're liking and they don't like, so they can pivot and adjust as they go, and not tank the game, or however I'm trying to say this, right? Because I do think when it comes out, it's probably not going to have the biggest audience at launch, even though I might enjoy the game. Andy enjoys the game. Mike enjoys the game. I think there's people that are going to be hesitant because of that price point. And I understand. We say we don't want free to play. We want these things to be able to, but the truth of the matter is the most played games right now are free to play. It's just fact.
It's also not a known quantity. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you need to know things and trust them to be like, I'm going to convince 4 of my friends to spend $40 alongside me to jump into this, to where we might fall off the end of the weekend, 2 weekends from now, a month from now, right? That is what's happening in this shooter market that we're seeing, right? And so a lot of these games that are unknown quantities, hoping to get a little piece of the pie, have to go free to play. And the issue now is you have a game where a lot of these people that have now played it and have checked out this beta are going, oh, it's a pretty good game, right? But then the issue is like, is that enough, though? I think you have to be free to play in this. The Game Pass route or the PlayStation Plus route, like, that's how you get these audiences going. And then you sell a little bit on the side. But, I mean, for you to spend $40 on this, if they were to come out with the storefront and send $5, $10 skins, you're going to probably spend that if you're enjoying that, right? So you're still going to add on to all of that. You might buy the Battle Pass, right? But this is a weird one of like, I truly don't think this game has the staying power. I don't see a $40 price tag benefiting this game in any way, shape, or form. This is a free-to-play title that has the add-ons of a Battle Pass and skins that will survive longer. This isn't Helldivers, right? Helldivers was PvE that got people excited. This is a PvP competitive shooter. I don't know if this one's got the juice.
So what I'm interested in the conversation of Helldivers and Concord, both PlayStation, or at least PlayStation Studios in some way, and the $40 price tag, I would say both of them going into it, people were kind of like, I don't know, like, we'll see what this is. Nobody expected Helldivers to be the success that it was, at the very least. I think there's a lot more negativity going into Concord. But talking to you guys, there's a good game here. So just a hypothetical conversation here. Imagine what you guys are saying comes to fruition. They listen, they make the changes. Let's even just say PlayStation Plus gets you this game. And then there's all the added ways to make money or whatever. But they make the pivot and that happens. Do you think that this game, based on the quality of what you've played, has the chance, if it was free to play to some extent, to hit maybe not the way Helldivers did because that's such a mega success, but like to hit in a way that you would decide is surprising.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of it just comes down to the core of the game already being fun. And me and Mike have played plenty of random, new game that's trying to find its place in this crowded space, and we give up pretty quickly. But for whatever reason, I'm logging in again randomly yesterday, not to stream it, just to kind of have fun, and Blessing's on. So I join his party. And then an hour and a half later, we're still there, and Blessing's like, man, I was planning on packing like about 2 hours ago and turning this game off. And then once I was done packing my stuff for my trip, I was going to stream this game. But I've been here with you playing this game for an hour and a half, and time just kind of flew by because we were having fun. I think that this game could find a decent enough of a player base if they make these moves that we've been mentioning. I think if it stays at $40, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in it. If it's just only 40, I think it could still be 40 if you're like, hey, pay 40, you get everything you want, as opposed to every character that you want is now $10. Pay $40, you get everything that you want.
Ben Brown writes in saying, Sea of Thieves had a very bad launch, but Microsoft kept supporting it, and now it's one of their big success stories. I think the same could happen here. Paris, do you think that there's an opportunity there?
And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I hope stick with the game. Don't, if it's not the huge smash, I can't even talk today. I apologize. If it's not a huge hit at launch, give it time, give it legs, let Firewall cook, let them listen to feedback so they can iterate on it and continue to grow it out. I am interested to see how this weekly story and monthly, yearly story progression is going to happen in the game. So let them have that opportunity. Maybe it winds up becoming the thing that allows Concord to stick out from the crowd, right? I think that's why I said at the top, I think there's something good here. The bones of this game of the PvP they're doing. Sure, there's some balancing they're going to need to do. There's some tweaks they're going to need to do, but that's going to come with time. I just hope there's not anything game breaking at launch as far as the meta goes, right? That they can't quickly resolve. I hope that's what this beta period allows them to do, to be able to catch any of that and resolve it before it comes out, at launch. Because if it gets enough time, I do think there's something here, 100%.
When I play that 5v5 Gundam style Overwatch game, or it was Overwatch styled, but you're all a bunch of Gundams, and that first weekend it was like, get in, you could play for free or whatever. It's everybody, let's try it out. And as soon as we saw how overpowered that one melee style Gundam was, I think it was like the Barbados or whatever Gundam, I was like, fuck this game. I'm so annoyed with this. And I usually love Overwatch style games, and I love mechs, and that, I think Paris is right on. That was just enough for me to go, this game is so ridiculously imbalanced, and it's leading to me not having fun already, that I'm down to just not give this a chance anymore. With the small bugs that I've been having on PC of like getting tabbed out, which happens like at least once a match, that's not enough for me to go, fuck this game. I'm so frustrated with it. I think that if it was having the usual launch of games crashing every 2 hours, or while we're in a game, the game just stops working and it boots us out. Like, we see that with a lot of different multiplayer titles these days. I haven't had those issues. And I think that that's a very, very good sign for a game that wants to be as polished as possible at the launch.
Totally.